shoulding?
Oh, that is the biggest swear word. It's so full of judgment. Oh, I hate that word. As soon as you should on somebody, you tell somebody, oh, you should do this, or maybe you should downsize, or maybe you should. It's laced with judgment, and it puts you in a different position from somebody else, and it doesn't really allow them to fully explore what it is they need to do. So instead, if you do have something that you want to share with somebody financially, what might work is if you say, here's what worked in my experience, and you share from that perspective. That also will really help you learn and grow.
I think when you were upstairs, I hope you told Mom that. No more should. Like Joe and OG should get out of my basement. Do not should on us.
That's right.
Please. No, we belong here.
From Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and I think most of us don't tell the people who are on our air quote board of directors that they're on our board. Joe, I know I'm pretty much the chairman of your board, but you've never once told me that I'm on your board of directors.
You have any words, coach, for the team?
Rah, rah, ree. Kick him in the knee. Rah, rah, ras. Kick him in the other knee.
Wow, he has never coached a team in his life.
Go out there and bite him in the kneecaps.
We just got to go out there and play our game, and stick to the fundamentals and just do what we do best. Just focus.
If we score more touchdowns than the other team, we will win, kids. We will win. Let's talk about how we're misusing credit in America.
First of all, people think credit is money. Start there. It's not. The most dangerous thing in my wallet today, Joe, is my American Express Black Card. Because this thing here, and it's sexy, and it looks nice, and it's pretty, there's no limit on it. But that's not even a credit card. This is a charge card, which means in 30 days, I got to pay the whole balance. A lot of people get in trouble. You start seeing celebrities in their bankruptcies and people who won the lottery, whatever. You see this credit card stuff because they thought this was an extension of their wallet. It's not meant to be an extension on your annual compensation.
Happy Wednesday evening, everybody. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, the creator and co-host of the Stacking Benjamin Show. Glad that you're here with us as we talk FAFSA. We're going to save some people a ton of money tonight. I saw something online just 2 days ago, somebody giving some advice that was very well-meaning, but that was going to cost people tens of thousands of dollars potentially in financial aid. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So, but you don't think that I can bring that, right? Of course I can't bring that. Come on. I got to have somebody way smarter than me at this joining me. And so let's say hello to my co-host this evening, the man behind The College Investor, Robert Farrington's here. How are you, brother?
Hey, what's up? How are you doing? This is great.
Dude, we got a nice little party here. We've got people. Do you see that from New York, from Portland?
Portland. I love
Yeah.
it. West Coast, best coast.
We're going to take your questions wherever you're from, guys. Well, let's put it this way. I'm going to nod and Robert's going to take your questions. No, I'm kidding. I know a bunch about it too, but this guy, you know, his site, The College Investor. And Robert, this is kind of an area you focus on every year and have been focused on for a long time.
You got it. We've been doing this for 17 years now, talking about college and education and money. So I think the FAFSA, let's save some people some money and help them navigate how to pay for this college thing, which is likely their third largest expense in life. You got your house, you got your car, you got your higher education, right?
Yeah. And one of those things, I mean, obviously you're buying this ability to make more money, but different than a house that you can see, really college is what you make it. So if we can get, I mean,
Joe, I love that. I love that you say that. I think people don't realize that is the byproduct of your higher education. Yes, there's a lot of cool things that come with college, social aspects, and like you're growing up as a person, but most people are buying more earnings over their lifetime. And I think it's really important to have that financial framework, especially when you're shelling out a bunch of money for it.
And the bad news is you can do this expensively or you can do it not expensively. It's almost like when you sit down on a plane and you paid X amount for a ticket, Robert, and somebody else paid a different amount and they're sitting in the seat right next to you, right? Or right in front of you. I guess if they have the middle seat, maybe they paid a little different, but you know what I mean? They got the same seat you do, and yet they might've paid less than you do just because they paid attention to what we're talking about tonight. So here's what
I'll steal that quote from Ron Lieber, where college is the only thing where you know that someone's paying full price, someone's paying nothing, and most people are paying somewhere in between.
It's Ron always has the best quotes. Nothing better than quoting Ron Lieber. We've got so many great people from Mexico, California, Seattle checking in. All right, guys, we're going to take as many of your questions as we can, but we also have a full deck. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to plow through as much of this as we possibly can without taking a lot of questions, but questions will be mostly at the end. All right. I'm going to try to check in. And if we get one that's right on topic that we were, that we're close to anyway, I'll try to get it. But if it's going to take us far from where we are, I want to make sure that the people that only have a limited amount of time, they get what they need and they're able to go. Then Robert and I don't think Robert's kid is at camp. So Robert's got like all night tonight. Robert's got tons of time. Robert will stay and answer your questions. All right, let's bring up my deck. And it's funny. I had this all set to go and now there we go. All right.
Hey.
There we go. Okay. So we got us and we've got the stuff. I'm going to try, guys, to make sure that we've that you can see this well. All right, here we go. So we're going to talk tonight specifically about the FAFSA. And Robert, you already know that there's a bunch of myths about the FAFSA. And number one is the one that, and I think this is just older people like me, right? I remember trying to finish the FAFSA. And by the way, my parents wanted nothing to do with it. I was going to do this on my own. They didn't want to give me their financial information or anything. I was going to do it. And back then it was a real bear. And I think people that don't know what's been going on with the FAFSA now think that the FAFSA is still a bear.
You got it. I mean, it was a bear until 3 years ago was they finally slimmed it down to about a dozen questions. And using the power of technology, it tailors the questions to you. So you might not even have to answer the questions depending on what your answers are. And you now get to link all your information from your taxes. So it's 10 times better than your taxes because you've already done your taxes. Now you just get to reap the rewards.
25% of the length, and it gives you free money. And if you want those two things, then yes, it's exactly the same. So
You got it.
All right. If you're here for the big lessons tonight, you're not here for FAFSA only. You just need a better college plan. Robert and I have this for you. It's called the College Planning Guide. And the cool thing that we'll announce tonight is, you know what? Right now it says Stacking Benjamins on the front. This is going to be a co-branded guide, guys. So Robert's agreed to take all of the knowledge of the college investor and co-brand it with us. If you want just to know about that, just go to stackingbenjamins.com/guides. Now, we're not going to talk about the guides. This is not a sales pitch for the guides. I will tell you about the guides at the end for people that are interested in it and want to know all about the FAFSA now, and then they want to know about the guide at the end. But I can promise you that we're going through the FAFSA. I've been to too many of these where people tell me they're doing one thing and they're doing something completely different. We're going to talk FAFSA guides. But if you want more, then there's the guide. The thing that we are going to do, you're going to know exactly what the FAFSA is. You're going to know why it's important. And I think for some of you, you're going to find out it's way more important than you thought it was. How do you fill it out? Filling it out, like Robert said, is very easy. We're going to show you 99% of the screens that you're going to see just to decrease your blood pressure and show you just how simple this form is. It's not going to take all day. Literally going to take us 5 minutes to go through the different forms, maybe 10. The impact of the FAFSA. What does this mean? There's a thing, it used to be called the expected family contribution. Now it's called the SAI, the Student Aid Index. How is that going to impact it? We're going to do basics of the SAI from the FAFSA. And by the way, this is where the well-meaning advice is that I saw 2 days ago, Robert, that was the worst advice ever. And you mentioned it while you and I were chatting about this too. I haven't even shared with you what it is. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but it's a doozy. And then what about the FAFSA down the road? Like, okay, when am I going to get my results? What does it mean this spring when I'm choosing colleges? What's the next step going to be? So that's what we are going to cover. What we're not going to cover is, this isn't going to be your complete college plan. For a lot of people, Robert, I'm hoping some people are here that, you know, the FAFSA's maybe 4 or 5 years away, because frankly, you want to start this college planning as soon as possible, I would think.
You definitely should start getting some ideas, getting the finances in order. I mean, some people start saving for college when you have young kids, but the FAFSA is kind of like, it's almost the end. It's just like your college application, your FAFSA kind of go hand in hand, and it's the final, like, push out the door almost.
Yeah. But by the time you get to the FAFSA, it should be, knitting it up. We're not gonna be able to tell you if you're going to get aid or not. I will tell you that more people could get aid that don't fill it out, which is a frustrating number. So we're hoping that your takeaway today, no matter what your income is and your assets are, that you fill this thing out. And then last, obviously, Robert and I are not tax advisors, not providing tax advice, blah, blah, blah. the fine print on this thing. However, when you think about this, Robert, truly not knowing the basics of how the FAFSA works and how the SAI works is kind of like a tax. It's kind of I don't want to call it a stupidity. It's an ignorance tax, because somebody knows how these things work and they're able to do the FAFSA quickly and make sure that their SAI looks pretty good just by giving the government exactly what they want and no more, and putting it in the right place. And other people are going to cost themselves a ton of money.
Potentially do that, especially when you're right on the cusp of aid, and knowing where things are and putting things in the right spot could swing you from nothing to something. And that's a big deal.
Yeah. Let's go through these myths, Robert. Number one, only poor families qualify.
I hate this one because you can get financial aid at any level, and the FAFSA unlocks all aid. And we're going to talk about this a lot later on, but don't just think that the FAFSA does the Pell Grant. And while that is like its signature thing, it is used for so much else. And I see plenty of upper middle class and even wealthy families get financial aid every year.
Yeah, so frustrating. Second myth that we see often is it's only for grants. And you mentioned this earlier. The Pell Grant's the main thing it does, but the FAFSA is for much, much more than that.
So much more than that. I mean, you got state aid, you got federal aid, you got school aid, you got private companies that want to see your FAFSA just to give you their own aid. We're going to talk about it, but yes.
Yeah, I like Mel's point. FAFSA used to be painful. So good to hear that it's easier. It is so much easier. And I think frankly that's part of what scares people away. They're like, well, I wasn't going to get any anyway because I'm not poor, and it's only for grants. And then third, it's too complicated. I think we already talked about this. Look at this stat. This is from people that Robert knows really well, the people at NCAN, NCAN, and they report that in 2024. 840,000 students, Pell Grant eligible families, did not fill out the FAFSA. They were eligible for it. They maybe didn't realize that they were eligible for a Pell Grant. They didn't fill it out. They lost $4.4 billion with a B dollars in aid.
Crazy. And you say college is too expensive, but you're leaving free money on the table.
I love what Kevin's saying. When he was a senior in high school, my guidance counselor was a huge resource and help. You found, Robert, I think that probably varies a lot from school to school. I mean, get as much help as you can from school, but if you got a great guidance counselor, fantastic.
Some schools are awesome and they'll do FAFSA nights and they'll bring people into the auditorium and walk them through it. But we all know that that doesn't apply to every school across this country, and the resources are limited everywhere. And so some people don't have access to awesome tools like that.
Now, here's the truth, Stackers, is that FAFSA is a foundation for most aid. So to launch your rocket ship, this isn't about just grants. It's not about just loans. It's a foundation for almost everything. So let's break this down, how this works. Now, we've got special interest groups over here in the corner. And Robert, you see these on sites like FastWeb or the other places where you're going to search for scholarships. These are groups that are giving away money because maybe they're trying to lure you to work for them, or maybe they want you to use Bear aspirin more often. I don't know, but these are the groups that aren't going to have anything to do with the FAFSA.
No, a lot of those, I say that they're lead gen guys. So if you're doing those, I'm going to give away $40,000 and all they're asking for is your name, address, and email. They want to get you on a mailing list to market to you, but they're going to give you the hope of a scholarship in exchange. And hey, these scholarships, they do exist. People do get paid on them, but you have to realize they're more like a lottery than any kind of need-based or merit-based aid.
Yeah, 100%. This is a lot different than this group down here. They're philanthropic groups that their goal is education and helping more people get a good education. They work generally, in most cases, with the individual school, right? Or the schools. And they are not made of money. So they tell the school, they're like, hey, we want to integrate with your system so that if people need more help, we will integrate with you. And the school goes, oh, that's great. But guess what the school says? We're not made of money either. So we're going to check out and see what the state will give first before we give you any money. So they ping the state and go, hey, we want you guys to tell us what you will give to our students before we give money to the students and before private philanthropy gives to the students. And the state goes, well, we're just a state, right? I'm on the board of Arkansas and Texas, and both of these states go, no. Wait, we're going to talk to the federal government first and see what they've got. So federal government, what are you going to give people? You got that Pell Grant. They're going to get a Pell Grant because that would really help out the state to give less, would help out the school to give less. And the philanthropy money maybe goes further. The federal government goes, well, we have this thing that was originally made for Pell Grants and for subsidized student loans, and then subsidized student loans later, called the FAFSA. And then over time, the FAFSA then, just to streamline this process, became the basis of everything. And what this means is really huge. The FAFSA then means if you want any grants or loans that are going to be government subsidized or unsubsidized, this would be subsidized student loans, unsubsidized student loans. This would be plus loans, right, Robert? Wouldn't it be plus loans?
They still do have the parent plus loans. No more graduate student plus loans, but parent plus loans. Yeah.
Yep. If you want stuff through the state. Now, states may have their own program as well. We list this in our guide, but states also have the FAFSA that they take. Your school then plugs into that. And of course, then the private philanthropy. So all the FAFSA doesn't do a little, everybody. It does all this.
And I'll chime in. The Pell Grant is typically one of the smallest dollar amounts you get out of that whole pyramid.
Wow.
So like if you're a lower income student, when you get the FAFSA and get that Pell Grant, the state grant is probably going to be a little more. And then the university aid is usually the biggest dollar amount for people. And so don't shy away.
Yeah.
We should have made it like a snowball.
They should have. We should have. It all just with the FAFSA at the top, and it just rolls downhill.
Yeah.
We'll do that in 2.0. We'll change that. So, job one then. I hope you're hearing what we're saying. Job one, fill out the FAFSA. It is job number one to get almost any aid except for those special people. Now, you're going to need a few things. I'm going to walk through them, and then I'll give you the bad news. Robert will give you the good news. Need your social security number, your 2024 tax return you should have ready, W-2s, bank statements, investment records, child support income, non-taxable income like social security benefits, veterans benefits, that type of thing. If you're on a work study, a scholarship, you're getting a grant, you have a fellowship, you're going to want to have all those things ready too, because the FAFSA is going to ask you for those. But a lot of the stuff that I just said, Mr. Farrington,
literally, you only need your name, address, and social security number, because now you can link automatically to the IRS and it will pull all that stuff that Joe just mentioned automatically into your FAFSA. You don't even have to think about it. It is so easy now to not have to worry about any of your tax information any longer.
Guys, we were joking as we were creating this. Robert, you were joking that this workshop tonight is longer than actually filling out the FAFSA. The workshop about the FAFSA is longer than filling out the FAFSA.
It will take you longer to watch us. You would have been, if you started this show with us, you likely would have been done with the FAFSA already, and we are not even showing you the first page of the FAFSA yet.
So let's be clear. So not only do you want to fill it out, you want to fill it out tonight. You want to fill it out now, because FAFSA is a race. Let me define what we're talking about. There is only so much money to go around in that huge line of circles that we showed you earlier. And in that line, with only so much money to go around, they don't wait till X date and then evaluate everybody against each other. They evaluate you on a first come, first serve basis. So they have this just set criteria. Do you meet it? Do you not meet it? If you meet it, you get money. You meet it, you get money. So in a year that it's really competitive, if there's a ton of people that want money and you wait until December, January, February, March, April to get this done, had you done it in October, maybe you would have gotten money. And you're not going to get it later.
You nailed it. I'll clarify though, the federal stuff, the Pell Grant and student loans, there's no time limit. They will give you that anytime. Where you really run into the time limits are the state grants and the colleges and universities themselves and the private organizations themselves. 100% first come, first serve. These private organizations, they might only have a few $1,000s, and those first 3 kids in the door, they got it, and you are out of luck.
Holly said, yes, it did it with the FAFSA. Livia, by the way, is this Livia from the Live Lab? Is this Livia from the Live Lab podcast? I think it might be, because we talked to Livia quite a bit. I hope so. Everybody should listen to Livia's podcast, by the way, but she's a senior in high school, Robert. And,
I love it.
Working on all this stuff. And her podcast is all about possible careers and things that you might want to do. Great show. So, let's talk first. Create your FAFSA ID. This is everybody freaks out. You told me, Robert, about the FAFSA ID.
The FSA ID, because it's just your login. We call it something special, but I don't know why. It is your login to the FAFSA, but it's also your login for student loans and stuff too. So parents, if you're listening to this and you had student loans, it's probably the same login you had for your own student loans. Yet
people go, wait a minute, I didn't get an ID. How come did I miss an email? Because I didn't get an ID.
No,
not going to get an ID.
Username and password. We just, call it something fancy.
Super easy. So you click what I circled there in red. You're going to, after a couple keystrokes, you're going to get here. If you already have an account, you log in. If not, you create one to get started. Boom, boom. Like Robert said, you're just username and password creating that. It is that simple. Once you've done that, then we get to the actual thing. And the first thing is just your student information.
Name, address, social security number. Hopefully you know this. I hope so.
Phone number. Yeah. Not hard. Your circumstances, Robert. Some of the things.
This is, yeah. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, some of the things that are here, I was just going to throw it to you because some of these things are, I mean, it's really important. You just pay attention to what you're checking here.
These are the things that kind of determine whether you're called a dependent student or an independent student, which means, do I need to have someone else's information, like my parents, or not? If you're an independent student, you don't use your parents' information. And these are the qualifying questions. Things like, I'm actively in the US military, or I was an orphan, or I was a ward of the court. So there's very unique circumstances. Most people are not going to check one of these boxes, but if you do, you might not have a parent or need a parent to provide their information.
On the next page, once you've done that, then it goes to, oh, it looks like you are a dependent, or it looks like you are independent. Now, there is a line here that I put my red marker next to, Robert, because this is really important. There are some cases where somebody like my parents didn't want anything to do with this, Robert. Yet I was, I was a dependent. We need to lay it out there for parents and for students alike. What's at stake if the parents don't want to participate in this process?
This is a tough one because these parents say, this is you're on college, but if you do not provide your parents, if your parents are refusing to provide their information for FAFSA, all you're allowed to get as a dependent student is a federal student loan. And so this is the box you check that my parents are refusing to help me. I only can get student loans. You can't get a Pell Grant. You're likely not going to get any state or other types of grants and scholarships, only loans. And that really sucks. So I hope there's no principled parents that are so hard on their kids that they put them in this situation, but it does happen.
A little goes a long way. By the way, Tina's hanging out with us. Tina is the puppet master for Robert and me. And she just put the link to Liv's awesome podcast. So for people
love it
that have students at home, go listen to Liv's show. Cause she's in there thinking about careers, thinking about college, and putting it all out on her podcast. All right. Parent education status. Why is this important?
This doesn't impact your federal financial aid at all, but it's used by some colleges to determine if you're a first-generation college student or not. And there are scholarships and grants out there for first-generation college students. But again, nothing with the federal student loans or Pell Grants.
And then your high school information, of course, they're going to want to know.
Yep. And if you went to homeschool, I think it's probably the next screen here. So if you went to anything else besides a high school, like homeschool, or you got a GED, you enter that one right here.
Homeschool, high school diploma. What did you finish? And then here it is. Now we finally get to the tax information. And guys, as soon as we get done showing you see how easy this is so far. It isn't going to get any harder. Number one.
We're at the halfway mark too. Look at the little bar at the top of the screen. We're almost done.
It isn't going to get more difficult. And at the end, we're going to tell you though exactly what on the tax return they're going to be looking for a little bit. We're going to give you an introduction to the SAI, the student aid index. But your filing status, so that's right from your tax return.
As a student, though, this is the student section. So I think some families get it confused. Not all high school kids file their own tax return. So if you're a kid and you did file your own tax return, you enter it here. But if the parents are the only ones that filed, you do that on the parent page. So this is just for the student.
Grace says, my parents have helped me nothing aside from help me finance a car. But have me pay for it all with 6 kids. I don't blame them. Holy cow. But your parents are juggling a lot, Grace. Getting married helped me qualify for Pell Grants. I hope that's not the reason you got married, Grace. Sitting hoping to find somebody so I can get my Pell Grant. I'm joking, Grace. All right. Next, the student assets. So your cash savings and checking account, your current net worth of investments, including real estate. Now, this is student assets again. So the student doesn't put down the house they live in if they don't own it. If they do own a home, let's say it's a 30-year-old student, Robert, and they own a house. Do they put their main house in here that they live in?
No, you do not include your primary residence, only your vacation home. Like Joe, I know you have a couple, but And then also any rental real estate. So if you're setting your kids up with rental real estate to be a mogul, they got to put the rental real estate down as well.
Now, here is where people got in trouble a couple days ago. A well-meaning person online, Robert, I saw say this: you know what? Make sure you put down everything. Just better to be safe than sorry. And it was very well-meaning advice. But let's talk about what other things you do not have to put in here for investments. What are the other things that don't need to go in?
The big one is retirement accounts. And this one could be a big number for people, but retirement accounts, your Roth IRA, your traditional IRA, your 401k, your 403b, all those accounts are not reported as assets on the FAFSA, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people encourage their kid when they get their first job to use that Roth IRA. It's a great way to invest for retirement, set up the nest egg, and that Roth IRA is not reported as an asset on the FAFSA.
Kevin hanging out with us tonight. Kevin writes our 201 Badass newsletter. We got the whole crew here with us tonight, Robert.
I love it.
But he asked the question, and I know Kevin already knows the answer to this because Kevin writes our 201, but a lot of people might be wondering any UGMA assets. Kevin, specifically, I'm glad you asked that. If it's an UTMA or an UGMA asset, and that means it's the student's money. So 100
money.
100% UTMA and UGMA money goes there. Now,
wait, asterisks on this though. 529 plans.
That's where I was headed. Nice job.
Question. Oh, read each other's minds. So if the parent owns the 529 plan and the student is the beneficiary, it goes on the parent's assets, not the kids.
And we're going to see that having a 529 helps your SAI over money in an UTMA or UGMA. It is, quote, 100%. Taxed less when it comes to choosing how much they expect that you'll be able to get in terms of aid. What about cash value life insurance?
You do not report the value of cash value life insurance, so you don't have to worry about that one either.
And equity in the real estate.
The equity in the real estate. So yeah, if you did have investment real estate, and you would include just the current market value minus any debt on it, and you get to just report that net worth of it. But that just is for investment real estate, not your primary home. Please don't include your primary home. One of the biggest errors I see every single year.
Then any federal benefits you're receiving?
Yep. And these ones are helpful because if you're receiving some of these benefits, it's not even going to ask you to link your tax return or report your assets. Sorry, it does a little link your tax return. It doesn't have you report your assets anymore if you require or you receive any of these federal benefits. It's kind of nice. Saves you more time.
Any child support you receive? Again, student cash savings checking account. I think I already did this. I have this one in here twice. So good. I brought it back, everybody. Let's go to, and then where should I send it? Do I send it to the colleges or not?
You do send it to your colleges. You can add up to 20 schools now online. Easiest way to do it is to find their school code. Pretty much every school, if you just type it into a search engine, you say like, I want to go to UCLA, what's their FAFSA school code? Or I want to go to whatever, drop it right in there, but you can search for it too. And there's no cost. This is a free application for federal aid. So send it to all the schools you're even thinking about, so you don't have to worry about it.
Grace has a great point here. 529s are almost always owned by a parent or Grace, grandparent, somebody, they could be owned by anybody. To your point, unless it's an adult who has created it for themselves, or the child didn't use it and they rolled it into their own name, which you can do. You can change the beneficiary inside of your family. It will almost always not be theirs.
I will say a cool thing that went into effect a year or 2 years ago is grandparent and basically non-parent owned 529 plans are not even reported. So if the grandparent owns it, if your aunt or uncle or niece or you own it for your niece, not even reporting it as well. So one of the cool hacks you can do.
Now we just looked at the student one, Stackers. The parent one is going to be a few more lines. Very similar though, Robert, to what we showed for students.
Exactly. I mean, it's just income and assets. And if you're tracking your income and assets, you can do those questions very quickly. It's the checking and savings accounts, add them up. If it is yes, you want to put that one on. You report your Robinhood account, your taxable investment accounts. You put those up, throw them in there, and it's super easy.
The Pogu talking about the Robinhood account is just, if Pogu's listened to the Stacking Benjamins show, Pogu's just doing this to me. Do I report my Robinhood account? Yeah. Do I point my Bank of America banking account? Just my favorite companies, Pogu. If you haven't been a stacker for long, you don't know that Robinhood is a company we don't have a lot of respect for. The FAFSA fuels the. So let me go into what our intention was here with this screen. You finish this up. It says something, Robert, to the tune of "Thank you very much," and then people freak out because they're like, "Wait a minute, don't I get like what happens now? What happens when you finish the FAFSA?"
When you finish the FAFSA, it takes up to 24 hours. So also don't freak out if nothing happens, because I think people think you hit submit and then you do that. And then bad news for the parents. This is the kid's application. So the parent will never see anything in their portal again. The student can go into their portal and they'll see their FAFSA summary. And their FAFSA summary will be a breakdown that says your SAI, your student aid index, any Pell Grants you're eligible for, and any student loans you're eligible for. And like I said, it can take up to 24 hours. And this is now in the student's wheelhouse, not the parent. So it won't be in the parent dashboard, only in the student dashboard.
And when you're not going to find out how much aid you get immediately either. I think people, Robert, think that almost right away. Hey, so how much aid do I get? What do I get? You're still not going to know, because now you're going into all of those little balls I showed earlier. And now the College Financial Aid Office is putting together all of this aid package, looking at the federal government, looking at the state, looking at the private stuff, anything else that you applied for, and then their own aid packages through the school before they tell you what the number is going to be.
It's the epitome of hurry up and wait. You've got to do the FAFSA because it's first come, first serve. And then you do the FAFSA and then you do nothing and wait until January to March when you get acceptance letters from the schools, because also the schools are only going to put together financial aid awards if they admit you. So even if you put 20 schools on this list, the only ones that are going to send you an award letter are the ones that admit you. And then they will break down all the aid you're eligible for on that award letter. And like I said, it usually comes between January and March for most schools.
What if I decided to go for the early acceptance?
You still might not get your financial aid award until January to March. And so that's one of the things that you need to be aware of when you go for early decision or early action, especially early decision that's binding. They are kind of expecting you to take the offer regardless of whether you can afford to pay for the school or not. So something that you should keep in mind when you're doing those early ones. It's not a bad thing to do, but still realize that you're going to get that offer before you know what your financial aid picture looks like.
Yeah. Let's walk into the SAI. And the way this works, stackers, is really, I don't know if I want to call it smart, but it's really logical the way this works. It works incredibly logically. If you are the student, what the way that the SAI works, and this again is they're putting together how much aid they think that you should get, where you are on this index. If you're the student, the program is created with this intention in mind, that, you know what, your number one priority is to get yourself through school. So whatever resources you can bring to bear on getting your butt through school is going to be eligible to get you through school, which is why, Kevin, when you said UTMA or UGMA, UTMA or UGMA money in the kid's name, the government goes, and for SAI purposes, they say, you know what, that money should all be used for college. It should all be used for college, not in the first year. So you'll see it year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. So, but a portion of it every year, and they're going to drain down 100% of that money. So any money that the kid has is going to count against you, generally speaking, dollar for dollar against student aid that you would get. Now, parents have it a little bit easier because, like Grace's parents, where they had 6 kids, right? If they would have said, hey, parent, your responsibility is just to get Grace through school. Well, what are we going to do about the other 5 kids? What am I going to do about, all the other things I need to save for? So parents actually have a little buffer, almost like you can think of it like an emergency fund first that doesn't count at all. And then they're going to have a much lower percentage of the money of the assets that's going to count towards school. And what's the takeaway from that? Whenever possible, have money over here and as little money over here as possible, right? If we're looking toward financial aid, we want to minimize this. We want to maximize that. And I know, Robert, you've got a ton more to say, I'm sure, about that.
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, the premise is that the college, university, the state government, and the federal government doesn't want to give free money to people that don't need the money. They are trying to use the limited resources to give it to people that don't have income and don't have assets. So if you have income and you have assets, you're going to get less free money. It's just kind of the bottom line. You can argue that it falls off too fast or school's too expensive or whatever, but they're still not going to give you free money if you make money or have money. So with that being said, though, it's not just about not giving the kid any money, but it's also about being intentional with where they have it. So maybe start saving for their retirement, because remember, you don't report those. So that's a cool way to do it. Maybe it is through a 529 plan. Again, we're talking about education because that counts as a child's asset, as a parent's asset, but it's used for school. So that can be a great way to help as well. So there are ways to think about it and think through it. And there's the flip side, that if your kid is out hustling and making tons of money, good for them. Maybe craft a college list that is reflective of the fact you're not going to get a lot of financial aid as a result. You have to kind of go both ways there, because I also never want to dismiss the side hustling kid that's out there working hard and saving, right?
But think about the kid also who's out there working hard, Robert, that their college statement and any essays they have to write, and I think any interviews they do are going to be so great because they did that. They might get merit-based aid. I don't think we did we mention that the FAFSA for some merit-based, you still got to fill out the FAFSA?
I agree. I don't think we mentioned one, that there's 2 different types of aid. There's need-based and merit aid. And the need-based aid is based on your financial need, which is what the SAI is gauging, financial need. But there is merit aid, which is based on your abilities and your essays and the things you do and the cool sports you play and all this other stuff. You still might need to fill out the FAFSA. In fact, most schools require it, but that's based on ability and what you're doing. And so you still might get financial aid for that.
Zarai, who is hanging out with us in Seattle. By the way, our Seattle meetup group has their first meeting next week, Robert. Next week.
Nice.
And if you're not a part of that, you're in the Seattle, Tacoma area, just in Facebook, go to just put in Stacking Benjamin Seattle and ask to join the Facebook group. And then Chris and Cole, who operate the group out there, will be happy to share all the information. But Zarai, I don't know if you saw that question. Zarai said, can you add other college codes after you submit your application?
You totally can. So we didn't talk about FAFSA corrections too, but we kind of rushed through the whole application. But if you do make a mistake or you want to add more schools, on that summary page, there's a little link that says make a correction. Add it, click that button. You can either add schools, you can fix a fat finger, a typo, whatever. And then you just resubmit it, and then it'll go to your new schools and it'll update any of the information you provided.
And that does that reset your clock no?
No, it doesn't reset your clock. I mean, technically it could reset your clock. If you realize this next June or July, like you've already missed the window of everything, it will reset your clock. But if you're doing it right now, you're doing it a week later, It's all going to be pretty much the same time.
Derek says, we had our daughter put 50% of her summer job money into her 529 plan. Exactly what you were talking about, Robert. So saving into her college fund. It's funny, just an aside, Derek, back when I was a financial planner, it's been a long time since then, but I had a client who not only gave his kids an allowance, but he gave them an allowance and then he withheld taxes because he wanted to show people how bad taxes are, and you want to avoid taxes at all cost. So he had them put part of their money, part of it they got to keep, part of it went to their college fund like Derek, part of it went to a charity, and then he withheld taxes. So just, I don't know if I think it takes the right kid to do that to them.
Joe, my Halloween shirt this year is a pumpkin, but it says dad tax across the top.
Because you feel like a pumpkin after raiding all the Kit Kats out of there.
100%. I got to pay the dad tax.
Yeah. And Tina coming through, by the way, with the Seattle Facebook group for anybody up there in Seattle. Holly did something similar, had daughter contribute to a Roth IRA. Kick ass.
I love it. I mean, there's so many variations on that theme, but the Roth IRA does not impact financial aid at all. You're growing that nest egg for your kids' school or for their future. I don't like to use it for school, but for their future, it's all around a great thing to do.
If you want to get started on looking at your SAI and where you think you'll be, Robert and his team at the College Investor put together a cool free tool. So Robert, take it away here.
Yeah. So if you want to know where your SAI stacks up, I'll tell you very simply, if you have an SAI of 7,000 or more, you're not going to be Pell Grant eligible. 7,000 is about the cutoff. It's a little less. But again, there's so many layers to financial aid, the federal aid, the state aid, the university aid, the private scholarships and grants. Go look at this chart right here, and you can see how your SAI corresponds to a little color code we have. It's just a guide, but we've been doing this for 15 plus years. Green means you're likely to get aid. Yellow means it's iffy. Orange means, only at like really elite private schools that give a lot of aid. And purple means like you're super wealthy and you're not going to get any aid. So something to think about. The highest SAI is 999,999. I've seen a 350,000 SAI this year. But if you are up there, you're not going to get aid. Aid is really reserved for people less than 7,000. Again, it's Pell. 7 to 15 kind of depends on your school. By the time you're getting into the 20s and 30s, it's really going to be school dependent.
Now, when you say that you don't get aid, let's be clear here. If you fill out the FAFSA, if you fill out the FAFSA, everybody can get unsubsidized federal loans. Correct, Robert?
Everybody can get student loans. So the FAFSA is also basically the student loan application, if you want to call it that. So if you want to take out a student loan, the FAFSA is the key for that as well. And everybody gets it. So
question coming in from Rocky here. I used to look at the university's endowment when I applied to the university. Is that a factor, as that it was a factor with the size of financial aid, right? If they have a big endowment, then they can give away more money. Is that still the case now?
It is more so than ever. So one of the big reforms in the One Big Beautiful Bill that a lot of people outside of higher ed didn't really see was that there is a new endowment tax coming that really up the amount of taxes these schools pay on their endowment, on the earnings of the endowment. So stackers should know this. How do you avoid taxes? Well, you make sure you have no earnings by spending all that money on financial aid, right? So, and it's also, if you've noticed on social media in the last month or two, or maybe you haven't, but all these private schools are now saying, we're going to give free tuition under $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year. It all correlates that these endowments are there, they're big. Now they're giving more generous financial aid. So yes, it all kind of goes together. This is one where correlation does equal causation, I think.
It is the same. So some planning opportunities ahead of time. The one question they don't ask you when you get your aid package, they don't ask you what your expenses are. They just tell you. And I remember my parents when I finally got through to them to help me out. And I remember getting the aid package, and I don't remember. I just remember my parents going, "You got to be kidding me." Like there is no way. And I ended up paying, by the way, for 99% of my own college. But even then, my parents were like, what? But they don't ask you what your expenses are. So having reserves in place, if you're the parent, and working on your cash flow between now and the time that child goes to school, if you're going to help them, is going to make it a heck of a lot easier to get to be able to afford whatever out-of-pocket number you might end up having.
You got it. I mean, it's also one of my favorite tricks, you should say, when you're going to file the FAFSA. So because they don't look at your debt and you have to report your assets the day you file, Well, why don't you make your mortgage payment right now a few days early? Or why don't you make your car loan payment now? So clear out that money in your checking accounts. You're just paying the bills you would have normally, but now it's no longer an asset and it's not reportable on the FAFSA.
Yeah. If you have a home equity line of credit and there's any money on it, pay that off. And if you have a checkbook with it or the ability to get that money back later to pay for college, if you end up needing it, you don't want to go into debt if you don't need it, but pay it off ahead of time. And remember that 401k also not included. Although I would say pay off the home equity line of credit. The 401k is a different deal because I really don't like, and I see parents do this, I do not like taking 401k loans to get people through college.
That's a big no. That's a big no. Don't do it. You can also make your IRA contribution. So like if it's one of those things, like I always like to make my IRA contribution at the end of the year. Well, do it in October this year, right before you do your FAFSA. Like just get that cash out of your account if you can.
Great idea. So any money in a child's name is a child's money at age 18. It is not college money. I know people think that it's college money. They're like, oh, I open up an account in junior's name and that's their college fund. No, it isn't. You think it's their college fund. And when I was a planner, Robert, I had clients that had UTMA and UGMA accounts for their kids. They had money in the kid's name. And when the child went to college, they just put the form in, at that time, because I'm an old guy, it was a form. They put the form in front of junior and go, hey, sign this. And junior would go, what's this for? Well, this is for your college money. You want to go to school, don't you? They go, oh, sure. Yeah. So as long as mom and dad knew how the rules work and junior didn't, they were good. But the second that junior figured it out, this doesn't have to be a college fund anymore. Money in an UTMA and UGMA is whatever junior wants it to be when junior turns 18. So
yeah, I'm not against these accounts. I think they're a great way to teach your kids investing, but just realize that it's considered their money. It's going to count for them against them on financial aid. Like, be aware. Just be aware of what you're getting into.
Now, I've seen people use a Roth IRA as a college fund because college is one of those reasons you can take out money before 59 and a half. I love the Roth IRA though, guys, in retirement. I love it in financial planning as a retirement vehicle because then we can manipulate tax brackets. We can play some games with tax flexibility. We can avoid maybe some tax on Medicare. We can avoid maybe the IRMA, other tax issues in retirement. So while you'll hear some people go, well, the Roth IRA, you can use that for college. The answer is you can. I would prefer that you don't. So try not to. Robert, any thoughts there?
Same, because I also have the dilemma of whose Roth IRA are we talking about here? Because you can use the kid's Roth, but they don't get a lot of money in it because they start working at 15 or 16. It has no time to grow. But if you actually let that grow to retirement, that'll be a nice chunk of change. I'd hate to see that money go to waste. And then the parents' money, for all the reason you said, it's their prime compounding years. I'd love to have the Roth money be for retirement as well. It's just not the best tool for the job. It can work, but there's better options.
That's a great point. I should have put parents Roth IRA because I 100% agree that the kids, and even then though, I think, man, that money can so grow and be so good.
Seriously. Yes.
Yeah. Try to leave that alone. Well, thank you very much, everybody. If you've got to go, we're gonna hang out here. We're also going to tell you about the college guides, but we also want to tell you about the resources that Robert and I have available. I mentioned that Zerai is a part of our. I hope, Zerai, you don't mind that I outed you. That Zerai is a part. He's like, I don't want to be known as a stacker. We have meetup groups right now in Minneapolis and in Seattle. We also are looking at a southern Minnesota that's going to be going live in the next couple of months. Boston is close. We've had people in DFW and in Chicago that have meetup groups. We love getting stackers together. So if you're in those areas, either the Twin Cities or in Seattle, just go to Facebook. Tina has put the Seattle meetup group, I think, in the chat. And I'm sure she'll put the Twin Cities one there as well. If you want to organize a meetup group in your area, certainly we'd love to help you do that. So just write to me, Joe at Stacking Benjamins. we have a bunch of resources. I have a 10-week course with me to build your financial plan. It's 90 minutes each session. We call it the success sessions. It isn't inexpensive, but for our stackers that want to build their own financial plan, but they want to make sure they do it well, it is a small group of people, usually 20 to 25 stackers every year. Imagine at the beginning of the year, you don't know what your financial plan is, but by the end of the first quarter, you have it finished. In 3 months, you've got it done. So that's our success sessions that we have on the top. We have our subject guides, which I'll get to. The college planning guide is the guide that we'll talk about here in a second. Of course, the meetup groups. Those are mine, Robert. Robert has a ton of free resources also at the College Investor.
You got it. We have our free resources there. We have our Q&A forum. So if you like to just chat online, you can go there, drop it in the forums. You can find our videos. We're talking about education and money all day. So whether it's paying for college or you have your own student loans, everything in between when it comes to education and money, you'll find us. And yeah, then we have our planning for college guide. So I'm excited.
Let's talk about the planning for college guide, because we go through this from beginning to end. What's your overall game plan? We start with the big picture, right? Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. How do you save for it? College admissions, the financial aid process. This is step one there. Student loans, how those work, finding less expensive degrees, paying less for the same degree that person in the seat next to you has. Once you get to campus, Liv and others that are here with us tonight, going to campus next year. What is campus life like? I know my son learned a valuable lesson about not paying attention to the money at his credit union account very, very early. So how to manage money if you're a student on campus, how to help your student if you're a parent with that, and then your graduation strategy. So that's what we cover. The cool thing about our guides isn't that a lot of guides do this. And frankly, between Robert's resources and our resources and resources you can find everywhere, a lot of this stuff you can piecemeal together. It'll take you a long time. It might be out of date. It might not be out of date. You're going to do some legwork. You could decide to not buy the guide. But what we do is try to make your workload as little as possible. So the first 2 pages are a quick start checklist where I know your goal isn't to read an 80-page guide. Like, nobody wants to do that. So if you read Robert and my checklist that's 2 pages long, we're going to put you in the right direction. So by the time you get done with that checklist, you've made the money back for the guide is our goal. And then you know what to focus on after that. So questions to ask, what you need to know, planning ideas and questions. And then we have a monster resource list of all the resources like the SAI index piece that Robert just mentioned, going in Mom's Monster Resource List this month. But this is the big key. I can't stand subscriptions. So what we've done is this: you buy it once, you keep it forever, and we update it every month. As long as we keep making the guide, and this is the thing that we've been working toward at Stacking Benjamins, is having these 5 different guides. And the cool thing is now partnering with this guy right here makes it even more robust, and we can add even more to this guide. I can't wait for some of the calculators that I know Robert already has and integrating those into the guide. I have a big secret thing coming to the guide in the next couple months. I wish it was there now. It's not there yet, but and I can't wait to tell you what it is. I shouldn't have even said that, Robert, but we've got so much cool stuff still coming in. And Robert, how many times in the last 18 years you've been doing this have they changed the program?
I mean, it's changing every year. It's changing every year. And there's FAFSA changes this year. There'll inevitably be changes next year. All the student loan stuff, everything you knew about student loans is blowing up on June 30th of 2026. And it's a whole new world starting July 1st next year. Like, it is all changing. So you should stay informed.
So if you have kids that are different ages, if you're going back to school, the program's going to be different for younger child than it is for older child. You buy the guide one time. We keep it updated. We make sure everything in it's correct. We make it easy to find. You buy it once, you never have to buy another college planning guide. That's my goal. That's what I would want. I don't want to pay a damn subscription. I want to buy it.
100%.
I want it upgraded. Our goal is to be your trusted resource. So that's how it works. And to take a look at that and the other guides, stackingbenjamins.com/guides. That is what we have. Thank you very much. Your first thing to do. I love leaving people with a to-do. do the FAFSA in the next 24 hours. Just get it done. And then next spring, Robert and I were talking about this. We'd love to come back and talk about how to start evaluating the aid packages.
Yep, definitely. Once those letters start coming, we will talk about them.
Awesome, everybody. Well, if you've got more questions, we can hang out for a couple more minutes. I think we've covered a lot of them. Guys, thanks so much for making this so fun. Kevin has helped us work on the guides a ton. Kevin's put a ton of this into there. The guides are outstanding. He said no bias. but if you've read Kevin's work in the 201, you know. Kevin also says, by the way, that I totally doxed Sarai by calling him out. He's a Seattle stacker. Let me look through these. Holly,
I think we missed Liv's question. So
we did. I didn't see this one, Liv.
Yeah.
Do I complete the FAFSA just once when I'm applying for colleges, or do I renew it every year when in college? Oh my goodness, Liv. This is something, Robert, that you and I talked about that I wanted to make sure we didn't forget. And Liv, you're amazing.
Yes. So yes, you want to apply for it every year. Set your calendars, October, you do it, because one, if you want to get your grants again next year, let's say you got grants and scholarships, you got to redo the FAFSA to qualify again. Part two, if you need student loans for the next year, you got to do the FAFSA so that you can do it again. When you are looking at your scholarships and grants, and we'll talk about this more in the spring when you actually have some financial aid letters to look at, some grants are front loaded. Some grants are renewable, which means they come every year, but you can't get those ones every year unless you do that FAFSA.
Can I tell you a personal story? And I've already gotten permission from my daughter to talk about this. When my daughter went through school, University of Arkansas, got no money as a freshman, got nothing, right? Just paying full price. Sophomore year, Liv, because of the fact that she filled it out, and so many people don't get aid their first year, so they don't fill it out. Looking through this whole program, she got money from here, she got money from here, and she got money from here. She got money from Arkansas, she got money from the school, and she got money from a private philanthropy. Starting in her sophomore year, she got a bigger aid package. And I think, Robert, it was just because so many people had given up.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. When there's leftover money on the table and you're the one that did it. And you know, this crazy part is, I bet you some of those people also had some scholarships that could have renewed, but they didn't do the FAFSA. And so they didn't get their own scholarship renewed. And then your daughter got to take advantage of it.
Totally. Somebody else. So she's a beneficiary of somebody else, possibly. Grace feels the way that you and I do, Robert. Yay for no subscription. I hate subscriptions. You're going to see that's why it's a little bit more expensive up front, but you will never pay again. You buy it one time and you will never pay another dollar for it. What we've done, and people that have been a stacker for a while know, these guides, when we first came out with our first guide, it was less expensive a year ago than it is today. And it's because the guide keeps getting more robust. We add more stuff to it, and there's inflation. So we will make the price more expensive for new people buying it. And that's how we will be able to keep pace. I don't think, we don't need the other part. Said 9556 notices for 26, 27 come out in January. What if you fill out FAFSA for 25, 26 right now? When can one expect to find out if any funds can be awarded for those years?
So that is this year. So like school's already started for that first semester of 2025, 2026. So chances of any actual university aid are very low. If you can always fill out the FAFSA right now if you need a student loan, and if you're Pell Grant eligible, that money will still come. This is especially helpful too if you need money for the spring semester. I know a lot of people come December 15th and they're like, oh crap, I finished my first semester and I forgot to figure out how I'm going to pay for my second semester. You could still fill out the FAFSA. You'll get awarded your federal student loans. If there is any aid available, you can have it, but chances are it's already all been doled out at this point in time from the school's perspective.
When I was in my later years of school and I became independent, I was paying for everything myself and I was no longer on my parents' tax return and I was completely independent. The very first year that I filed for aid, I was starting to figure out how this worked just on my own, Robert. And I filled it out way late, said like you're talking about. specifically, Robert, so I could go get loans.
Yeah.
And it made my life a heck of a lot easier.
It could be helpful. I think talking about that independent versus dependent, I think we also missed a question from Mel earlier on. Mel said, does it change if the student is not a dependent on the parent's tax return? Because I think a lot of people are like, well, they're a dependent, or I don't claim my kid on my tax return anymore. And I think it's important to note that FAFSA dependent status is very different than tax dependent status. They use different rules. And so you might not claim your child any longer on your tax return, but they still might be a dependent for the FAFSA, especially if they're not married, they're under 24, and they're an undergraduate student.
This is our friend Mel Abraham. Robert, do you know Mel?
Nice. I don't know if I know Mel.
No? Yeah. Mel's coming on the show. Mel just sent me a nice note yesterday. Mel, I got your note. Mel, Robert knows the hell that I'm in right now with a house project that I have going on, but you were on my list, my friend. But Mel, and again, I love how people like Mel and Kevin are asking these great questions that I know Mel already knows the answer to that question, Robert, but that's a great question. Yeah.
Nice. Love it. Love it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
You see Derek, we got Derek's question there. I think that's a good one because that is a recent change.
I've seen conflicting info online about what types of businesses count toward, the parents' assets.
So the business stuff changed with the One Big Beautiful Bill, and it was a last minute change. And so a lot of people, and even some of the documentation's not updated yet. So you no longer report the value of a family-owned business. So what is a family-owned business? It's that you are the majority owners and controllers of the business with less than 100 employees. Same thing with a family farm, that you live on the family farm. And same thing if you own your own commercial fishing vessel and you're doing that as a family business. So those do not get reported as assets. Of course, any income you earn is pulled from your tax return, and that is reported as income. But from an asset perspective, that's a great thing, because one of the most common questions I get was, what's my business worth? Like, I don't know. What are we going to sell it for? I don't know.
Oh, man. Mel, you have no idea. And I'm debating whether I should show people, but we have no floors in this house right now. We had a storm, and this is back in July, by the way. And all of a sudden at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night, it was raining inside Cheryl's closet, my spouse's closet. And there was rain coming down my fireplace. And so because of that, this normal recording room that we have, where people that have been with us for a long time know I'm generally a little bit more over this way. That's because I'm not showing you the stacks of cushions and couches and mattresses that are in this room as they're installing new flooring. I'm not even living here right now. It's been absolutely fantastic. But Belle, that's what I'm dealing with. Liv has another great question though, which is this, Robert. As a student, what should I prioritize right now? I love prioritization questions. Putting money into 529 to pay for college, or invest in the Roth IRA for future expenses.
I mean, Liv, you are only 17, 18 once. I am all Roth IRA all the way. There's a lot of ways to pay for college, but man, that little bit of money that you can put into the Roth will snowball into a massive amount by the time you're like 45. And that might seem like ages away, but like, here we are. So like, it really will go a long way.
Well, let's say Liv at 18 years old decides to put, how much money we want to have her put in. Let's just say $2,000. All right. Let's say Liv is able to come up with $2,000 to put into a Roth IRA. There's this rule called the rule of 72. You take the interest rate you think you're going to get, Liv, you divide it into 72, and it tells you how long it's going to take your money to double. So let's say that your money's going to earn 9% per year. You put in a good index fund, you earn 9. So 9 divided by into 72, 8 years, right? So it's going to take 8 years for the money to double. So Liv, if you're 18 right now, I think Liv is 17. You do that as a 17-year-old. That means that $2,000 is going to double when you're 25, when you're 33, when you're 41, when you're 49, when you're 57, and again, when you are then 65. Did I do that right? I think I did 6 times. So $2,000 in a Roth IRA now is, let's just get rid of the fingers now. It's 4 with the first double. Then it's 8 with the next double. Then it's 16. Then it's 32. Then it's 64. That $2,000 is $128,000 that you put away. And now imagine if you could do that for 4 years in a row, where you're able to come up with $2,000 to put in there.
That's
It's
what we're
incredible.
talking about.
Yeah. What a nice ad. So yeah, if you can come up with a way to just survive college and put money away for retirement easy, do it the easy way.
Seriously, it's a great way to do it. And like we said, there's so many ways. You got grants, you got scholarships. You could still borrow student loans. There's options there. So put that money into a Roth IRA and then let it grow for 40 years, and you'll be so much wealthier as a result.
Tina, thank you very much. I know Tina is the puppet master, so big thanks to Tina for being behind the scenes with all the links tonight too. But I know Tina has young kids at home, and every time she comes to one of these, she's like, I've been working for Joe for a long time and I didn't know that. So, and I'm sure with a young one at home, she's taking notes furiously. And then Kevin also says that you can convert 529 money to a Roth IRA.
I always like to put an asterisk up on that one. Everyone loves talking about that one, but your state rules may vary. I'm in California and we have very limited 529 plan rules. They don't love us the way they love other states when it comes to that stuff. So asterisks on that one.
And Liv, I never realized it could grow so much. Nobody does. And it's so kick-ass. It's so cool. All right, guys, speaking of cool, it's going to be cool actually making my way to the duplex I'm living on while I'm not living here. So thanks a ton, everybody, for hanging out. Robert, thank you for your time, man.
Duh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm glad this was informative. I'm glad we're going to make Liv here 100,000-aire. Like, I'm excited for that one. Like,
do we have one more from Grace here? Might not be worth to put in 529 to get the state creditor deduction, but keep in mind if 529 is the student names counts against on FAFSA. Amen. Grace bringing it tonight. Nice job. Yep. All right. Robert, Go enjoy your night while your kid's at camp.
Thank you very much, Joe, and we will see you next time.